But quick question, bro. Yeah, something that that arose for me the other day was is that that like why hasn't the gospel? Okay, we could talk about investment. We could talk about artists. Yeah, but take them two things out. Yeah, I'm thinking of a number of things why media hasn't been successful in urban gospel, even though we've got so many great people in it. Yeah. Why haven't we gone further than what we have, man? You know what I mean? It seems like we regressed. Like back in the day, bro, we was on BBC One Extra. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
BBC WM. Every BBC radio station had a gospel show. You know what I mean? All the major ones. So why do you think we've regressed? You know what I mean? Is it the society, the church? I wouldn't say God has changed or the church has got smaller, because if anything, it's gone smaller in some churches, but it's blew up in some areas as well. You know, so what do you think has happened here?
I suppose, you know what, there's going to be many people are going to have different opinions on this. My personal opinion, and I'm not sitting on the high horse thinking, you know what, I've got it all locked up. But I think, you know, when there was a presence, when we had a voice, when there were many DJs on different platforms, the BBC, obviously WM's, because WM's still there, but you know, there was a gospel scene within the BBC One Extra, and then locally BBC. There were a lot of podcast shows, there were a lot of blog shows, sites that were reviewing music. You know, there was a strong presence. Personally, I think what happened is we rested on our laurels, and when we got our feet underneath the table, we wasn't visionary, we wasn't pushing the boundaries, we wasn't looking to be entrepreneurial and say, right, how can we push this thing even further? And if you don't keep moving, you actually are you tend to go backwards, because the world keeps creating, things keep moving, and you will find that you yourself can become stale. And I feel as if a lot of gospel shows, the gospel scene in itself just didn't become creative, it didn't move forward. So ultimately we ended up going backwards, and now we are where we are. I think, you know, as a creative person, you've always got to be looking and trying to not keep up with culture, but you've got to be relevant to culture. And do you know what I mean? Relevant but not compromise your convictions, but be relevant in delivering whatever whatever it is you're delivering. And I feel that didn't happen. So music program managers, BBCs, all these major platforms just looked at it and thought, well, yeah, we've had enough now. You've been here for how long? And you're not really bringing anything new. So bye. So that's my personal thing. I think you've got to be sharp on your creativity. You've got to be sharp on your skill sets. You got to be trying to you know, like I say, be relevant and up to date, because first and foremost, the world don't want what we've got to say first and foremost. So we've got to package it in a way that, you know what, not that we compromise what we're saying, but we give them no excuse not to want to listen to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? If that makes sense. People want to roll up the gospel in a package, and it's dated, and then we expect them to accept it, when I feel we need to package the gospel in a way that, like I say, not compromising our convictions, not compromising the gospel, but package it in a way that there's no excuse in the presentation of the gospel, within whatever, you know, creative sphere you're delivering the gospel in. It is being delivered in a way where the world can say, you know what, right, this is kind of like, there's no excuses. So that's kind of like my standpoint. I feel like we wasn't moving forward creatively, and now we're in the place where we are.
Do you think that's the mindset of our community though? Because you can argue and say that, you know, certain we're looking within our community and people have had situations like, you know, BBC scenarios, and like you said, expanded closed doors behind them. I suppose that's everywhere. I suppose, you know what I mean. Everyone tries to really lock things down from that perspective, but I do feel that, you know, that we've missed a massive opportunity community wise. We got one of in Birmingham. We got a massive art centre sitting there empty. You know what I mean, bro? Like, you know, and I feel is that a community thing, not being able to be visionary enough to embrace opportunities. You know what I mean? And once you embrace it, to actually evolve. You know what I mean? Over time. For that, it really is a community thing that we I wouldn't say flopped here, but that we haven't made the most of, you know. Maybe I don't know. What you think, bro? Is it a community? What we do when we got something, we don't make the most of it?
It could be. You know, there's different pockets of the communities, and there's different representations of the community. If we're looking from a church perspective, in terms of, you know, how is the local church impacting the community? We could look at that in South End. So what is the local church doing in the community? Has that kind of like declined? Is the voice of the church loud enough in the community? Do we have a voice in the community? What type of voice do we have in the community? Do you know what I mean? How are we impacting the community? And then what elements of the church? Are we talking the black church? Are we talking the white church? What elements of the white church are hitting the community? What elements of the black church are hitting the community? So there's all these different, you know, representations of the body of Christ, of the church, that should be having their say in the community. And if we look at it, I mean, you know, I grew up in a black church, know the white church, worked within predominantly white organizations within the church. And I can say that, you know, the white church have been relentless in having a voice in the community, not necessarily creatively or musically. Well, yeah, musically I can say they have, you know, going into churches, going into schools, going into prisons, you know, they've been relentless in that. So they've had a voice, they've been in the community. The black church, I suppose that's another argument. I suppose we can say, you know, from where I'm standing, maybe not. Then again, I don't know. I don't want to be like, I don't want to sit here and say like I know everything what the black church is doing in the community. Do you know what I mean? But you know, if I'm looking from where I'm looking, I suppose it's not as been as strong. But again, like I say, different pockets in Birmingham. I can speak for Birmingham. I can also speak for Manchester because I worked in Manchester quite a bit. I'm not too sure about London. Yeah. But, you know, so I'm not too sure. You know, these are the things that have added to or taken away from the voice, our voice holistically in terms of the body of Christ. Having its say, having its voice, having its impact on the community. These are the things we've needed to look at. And I think, I suppose the church, the body of Christ, maybe needs to look and say, okay, then how have I not, what are we doing? What part have I not played in terms of our voice being heard in the community? Do you know what I mean? These are things that we need to ask because it impacts everybody. Do you know what I mean? If you're a musician in the body of Christ, it's going to impact you. You know, there is no one-man show about this thing. It does impact. You know, because we are a body, we work as one, and if one element of the body isn't operating truthfully, it's going to have an impact. So yeah, bro. That's a big debate, you know, because it spirals into different elements of pockets of areas. Do you know what I mean? What is the church doing? You know, what are promoters doing? What are DJs doing? What are event managers doing? What are artists doing? Do you know what I mean? And we all intertwine. We all are connected in some way. Do you know what I mean? And if we're not operating as one, if we don't have a holistic vision, if we're not kind of like moving, it kind of like does affect. So yeah, bro. It's a tough one, bro. It's a tough one.